What if I told you they never really left? You think they're gone, that they've moved on, happy in someone else's world while you're stuck in the wreckage. You replay it over and over in your head. The moments, the words, the feeling of it slipping away. It haunts you, eats at you. But let me ask you something. Who really holds the power here? The one who obsesses, who questions every detail, who torments themselves with what-ifs? Or the one who walks away without looking back? Right now you feel betrayed. It's like they ripped a part of you out, like everything you built together is now nothing more than a ghost in your mind. And the worst part, you think they don't care. You think they've wiped you from their memory, like you never even mattered. But here's the truth. You never lost them because they were never truly yours. They were a reflection of your attachment, a projection of what you wanted to believe. And now that they're with someone else, you tell yourself it means you weren't enough, that you failed, that the person they chose has something you don't. But what if I told you that none of that is real? What if I told you that the moment you stop caring is the moment they start questioning everything? See, people only hold power over you when you give it to them. They move on faster because they believe you're still watching, still hoping, still stuck. But what happens when you refuse to play that role? When you stop waiting, stop needing, stop proving? That's when the tables turn. Pain is an illusion. It feels sharp, unbearable, because you've convinced yourself that they were the prize, that they were the destination, the reward at the end of your journey. But that was never the truth. The real prize? It's the person you become when you let go, when you no longer chase, no longer seek validation, no longer define your worth through someone else's choice. Because when you master detachment, when you embrace true Stoicism, you won't be the one left behind. You'll be the one they remember, the one they regret losing. This was never about them. This was always about you. And by the time we're done here, you won't just move on. You'll become the kind of person they could never forget. Now, I have a question for you. What if, by the end of this video, you had the power to rewrite your own story? What if you walked away from this, not just healed, but transformed? That moment is coming, but you have to stay till the end to claim it. So take control, right now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell notifications, and most importantly, drop a comment below with this affirmation: I am enough. Because you are. And by the time this is over, you won't just believe it, you'll live it. Now, let's begin. 1. Gone but not forgotten. The truth about why they left. They left you, or at least that's what you believe. But what if I told you that they didn't leave you? They left the version of you that no longer intrigued them. The truth is, people don't walk away from what they truly value. They only leave when they think there's nothing left to discover. Right now, you think they moved on because they found something better. That's a lie. They didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because they thought they had you figured out. The moment they believed they knew everything about you, the moment they felt certainty, was the moment their curiosity died. Attraction isn't about perfection, it's about mystery, unpredictability, the sense that there's always more beneath the surface. People don't crave what's easy to grasp. They crave what keeps them guessing, what keeps them searching. But when you laid everything on the table, when you gave them your heart, your soul, your vulnerability, they no longer had to wonder about you. They had you, and in their mind, that meant there was nothing left to chase. It's like reading a book. The moment you turn the last page, the story is over. No matter how incredible it was, no matter how deeply it moved you, once you know the ending, you put the book down. And right now, they believe they've reached the last page of your story. But here's what they don't understand. You're not a book. You're a universe, endless and expanding, filled with depths they never even began to explore. And now, they're with someone else. Not because that person is better, not because they're more successful, not because they're more attractive, but because, for now, they are an unknown variable, a question without an answer. And humans are wired to chase answers. It's the thrill of the unknown, the pull of something yet to be unraveled. They aren't drawn to this new person because of who they are, but because of what they don't yet know. This is where most people get it wrong. They panic, they spiral, they beg, they plead, they try to prove their worth, thinking that if they just remind them of what they had, they'll come back. But that's not how this works. The moment you seek validation is the moment you confirm their decision to walk away. Because the truth is, people don't miss the ones who wait at the door. They miss the ones who disappear entirely, the ones they can no longer predict. Think about fire. A flame is mesmerizing because it moves in ways you can't control. It flickers, it dances, it consumes. But the moment it is contained, the moment it stops moving, it loses its power. Attraction works the same way. They weren't drawn to you because you were predictable. They were drawn to the energy, the movement, the depth they thought they could never fully grasp. And when that energy became still, when that unpredictability was replaced with certainty, they thought they knew all there was to know. But here's the thing. Certainty is an illusion. No one ever truly knows someone else. People don't leave because they've figured you out. They leave because you let them believe they did. And that means you have a choice. You can stay broken and prove them right, or you can evolve into something they never saw coming. Disappearance isn't about running away. It's about reappearing in a way they never expected. It's about becoming someone so untouchable, so focused on your own growth, that by the time they look back, they don't even recognize the person standing in your place. The past is an echo. You can keep listening to it, replaying the same memories, the same regrets, or you can step forward and create something new, something so powerful that it drowns out every whisper of what once was. Because in the end, they didn't leave you. They left the person they thought they knew. And the best way to prove them wrong, become the person they never had the chance to meet. 2. Unshaken, unbreakable, the secret to true power. Right now, they own you, not physically, not even in reality, but in your mind. Every thought, every sleepless night, every time you scroll through their social media just to see if they're happier without you, you are handing over your power. And the worst part, they don't even have to do anything. Your emotions are the chains keeping you locked in place. The more you let them dictate your actions, the weaker you become. But let me tell you something. Power belongs to the one who feels nothing. The moment you stop reacting, the moment you stop letting their existence affect your peace, that is the moment you take back control. That is the foundation of Stoicism, to be unshaken, to let the world move as it pleases while you remain still, unmoved. Fire doesn't beg the wind to stop blowing. It either grows stronger or it burns out. And if you're waiting for the wind to change, you've already lost. Do you think the strongest people in history wasted time drowning in emotions over someone who walked away? They understood something most never will. Emotions are like storms, temporary, chaotic, destructive only if you let yourself be caught in them. The storm will rage, the sky will darken, the winds will howl, but those who stand firm will see the sun rise again. Right now, they expect you to be hurt. They expect you to break down, to chase, to prove that they mattered more than yourself. And the second you do, you confirm everything they believed when they left. They believe they were the prize. They believe you were the one who lost. But what happens when you don't react? When they look at you and see someone unshaken, someone who isn't desperate, someone who doesn't even acknowledge their absence? That's when the power shifts. That's when doubt creeps in. That's when they start to wonder if they made a mistake. Emotional detachment isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about mastering yourself to the point where nothing external has the power to shake your foundation. A mountain does not move when the winds howl. The ocean does not beg for calm when the storm rises. And you, if you understand this, will become just as untouchable. Because the truth is, most people are not looking for love. They are looking for control. They want to know that they matter, that they left a mark, that they can still reach you even from a distance. And when they realize they can't, that's when everything changes. When they realize their absence hasn't weakened you, but strengthened you, that's when they begin to question everything. But here's the real secret. By the time they realize it, by the time regret sets in, by the time they start searching for what they once had, you will be gone. Not physically, not in a way they can see, but in a way that truly matters. You will have outgrown them, evolved past the version of you that once placed them at the center of your world. And that is when you truly win. Because nothing is more powerful than a mind that cannot be controlled, a heart that does not beg, a soul that does not break. The moment you stop needing their validation, you become something rare, something untouchable, something beyond their reach. And once you reach that level, it won't just be them who notices. The world itself will start to shift in your favor, because power isn't in chasing, it isn't in proving, it isn't in waiting for someone to return. Power is in walking away without looking back. 3. The less you care, the more they chase. The dark psychology of desire. What happens when you stop caring? When you stop checking, stop wondering, stop waiting? The answer is simple. They start noticing. Because nothing is more powerful, more unsettling, more intoxicating than indifference. Right now, they believe they still have you. Even if they're with someone else, they know, deep down, that if they ever wanted to come back, you'd still be there. That's why they're not thinking about you. That's why they're not chasing. Comfort kills curiosity, and certainty kills attraction. But the moment they feel your absence, the moment they sense that they no longer control your emotions, everything changes. People always want what they can't have. It's human nature. The mind is wired to chase what is slipping away, to desire what feels unattainable. When you were desperate for them, you became predictable, ordinary. But now you're something else entirely. You're no longer reaching out, no longer reacting, no longer orbiting their world. And that silence, that emptiness where they once found validation, will start to consume them. They'll test you. Maybe they'll post something designed to get your attention, just to see if you're still watching. Maybe they'll send a meaningless message, just a way to check if they still hold power over you. And here's where most people fail. They take the bait. They think, this is my chance. They respond too quickly, too eagerly, and just like that, the power is gone. Because the second you show them they still matter, the chase is over. The game resets. But not you, not anymore. A person who understands this game knows that the only real response is no response at all. Indifference is the ultimate attraction trigger. It makes them question, it makes them doubt, it makes them chase. But only if you're strong enough to stay silent, to walk away, to disappear into a life so fulfilling that they no longer exist in your world. It's a paradox, but the less you care, the more they want you, because now they are the ones wondering. They are the ones checking, replaying memories, searching for signs of what went wrong. And when they realize they've lost the version of you who once craved their attention, they don't just miss you, they crave the new you, the one who doesn't need them, the one who isn't waiting, the one they can no longer reach. In the end, the most powerful move is always to walk away without looking back, because when you do, they aren't just left behind, they're left wondering what they just lost. 4. Gone but never replaced. The power of absence. You think they forgot about you. You think they've moved on, completely uninterested in what you're doing, unaffected by your absence. But let me tell you something. People never truly forget those who leave an impact. They might bury the thought, push it aside, convince themselves that they've closed that chapter. But deep down, absence lingers. It leaves a space that no one else can fill. Right now, they aren't reaching out because they believe they still have you in their grip. They assume that if they ever changed their mind, you'd still be there, waiting. That's why they feel no urgency. That's why they feel no loss. But the moment they realize you are truly gone, the moment they see that you have vanished without a trace, that's when the doubt begins to creep in. Absence is powerful. It forces the mind to fill in the blanks, to wonder, to question, and the human mind hates unanswered questions. Right now, they are confident in their decision, certain they had you figured out. But when they notice that you're not watching, not reacting, not chasing, a seed is planted. Why haven't they reached out? Why does it seem like they've moved on so easily? Did I misjudge them? That single thought, that tiny crack in their certainty, is all it takes. Because the moment someone starts questioning, the moment they start looking for proof that they didn't make a mistake, they've already lost control of the situation. It starts as a passing thought, but it grows. They start remembering, replaying, searching for clues. And suddenly, what felt like an easy decision starts feeling like a mistake. But most people can't do this. They panic. They tell themselves, if I disappear, they'll forget me completely. So they lurk. They leave breadcrumbs, likes, comments, indirect messages, hoping to remind them, hoping to be noticed. But that's not strength. That's fear. That's insecurity. And people don't long for what is always within reach. They long for what feels just out of grasp. The ones who are truly unforgettable are not the ones who beg to stay. They are the ones who walk away with such quiet certainty that it leaves a void where they once stood. And that space, that emptiness, is what haunts them. Because suddenly they are no longer in control. Suddenly they are no longer sure if they were the one who made the choice, or if you were always the one who held the power. This isn't manipulation. This isn't a game. This is human nature. People will never regret losing the one who begged to stay, but they will always question losing the one who disappeared without hesitation, because that's the one they can't replace. That's the one who lingers in the back of their mind, no matter how much time passes. The truth is, people don't move on from absence. They try to fill it. They try to distract themselves. But silence is louder than words, and distance speaks louder than apologies. And the moment they realize you're truly gone, the moment they understand that you aren't waiting for them to come back, that's the moment you become unforgettable. 5. Steel mind, unbreakable soul, the art of emotional control. Most people let their emotions destroy them. They let heartbreak consume their thoughts, dictate their actions, and turn them into weaker versions of themselves. But those who master emotional control, they become unstoppable. Because emotions aren't the enemy, your reaction to them is. Pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And right now, you have two options. Let your emotions control you or learn to control them. They expect you to break, to fall apart, to chase, to seek closure, to prove your worth. And the moment you do, you confirm everything they believed when they walked away. But what happens when they see nothing? No anger, no sadness, no desperate attempts to win them back. Just calm, just focus, just someone who refuses to be broken by something as temporary as their absence. That's when doubt creeps in. That's when they start to question everything. Because the ability to remain unfazed, that is the mark of someone who cannot be replaced. Strength isn't just about muscle or power, it's about control. The strongest people in history weren't the ones who never felt pain. They were the ones who faced it, endured it, and never let it shake them. People are drawn to resilience, to those who stand tall when everything else falls apart. A person who can take a loss and keep moving, who doesn't crumble at the first sign of rejection, that's the kind of person who commands respect. And respect is more powerful than love. Love fades, love shifts, love can be momentary, but respect, that lingers. It's what makes them think twice when they see you thriving without them. It's what makes them regret ever believing you were just another ordinary person. The strongest warriors, the greatest leaders, the most unshakable minds in history all lived by one principle. Control over oneself is the ultimate power. The Stoics understood this. They knew that emotions should never dictate actions, that mastering the self is the only true way to mastery over life. And once you understand this, once you embody it, you won't just make them regret leaving. You'll make sure no one ever holds that kind of power over you again. Because you are not the rain that falls helplessly with the storm. You are the storm. You are the force that moves forward, that destroys weakness, that leaves nothing in its path but progress. And once you become that, nothing and no one can break you again. 6. Rise above. The transformation begins. Right now it feels like they took something from you. Your confidence, your sense of worth, maybe even your purpose. It feels like they walked away and left you with nothing but questions and self-doubt. But here's the truth. No one can take what you build for yourself. And if they left, it only means one thing. It's time for you to evolve. Most people focus on getting them back. They obsess over how to reverse the situation, how to make them regret leaving, how to prove they made a mistake. But those who truly win don't waste time looking back. They focus on reclaiming themselves. And that's the difference between those who stay broken and those who rise. This isn't about proving anything to them. It's about making sure that the next time they hear your name, the only thing they feel is regret. Not because you played games, not because you sought revenge, but because you became someone so rare, so powerful, so self-sufficient, that they finally realized they walked away from something irreplaceable. That's the real win. Not getting them back, but becoming so untouchable that they wish they never left. So what does that transformation look like? It's simple. You stop wasting time. You stop checking their social media. You stop replaying old conversations in your head. Instead, you build. You work on your body, your mind, your purpose. You become the kind of person that others respect, that others admire, that others chase. And the moment you do that, something shifts. Because when you focus on yourself, when you start moving forward without hesitation, without doubt, without looking back, You no longer care if they notice. And ironically, that's exactly when they do. The moment they realize you're thriving without them, the moment they see you don't need their validation, that's the moment they start questioning their decision. But by then, it won't matter, because you will have already won. Not by playing their game, but by walking away from it entirely. That is the power of transformation. That is the power of becoming someone they can't ignore, someone they can't forget. Not because you chased them, but because you outgrew them. When you rise above, when you elevate beyond who you used to be, you don't just become better, you become untouchable. 7. When they notice, it's already too late. Something has changed. They can feel it. At first, leaving felt easy, almost effortless. There was certainty, confidence, maybe even a little relief. But now, something feels off. They check their phone, half expecting a message that never comes. They scroll through their social media, searching for signs that you're still watching, still waiting, still orbiting their world. But there's nothing, just silence, just absence. And suddenly, they are the ones wondering. At first, they convince themselves it's a game, that you're just trying to play it cool, pretending to move on. But as the days pass, then weeks, then months, the truth starts to sink in. You didn't just move on, you evolved. You disappeared from their world completely. And worse, you seem happier without them. That's when the regret starts creeping in, the self-doubt, the questions they never thought they'd ask themselves. Did I make a mistake? Was I wrong about them? Why aren't they chasing me? This is the moment most people dream of, the moment they wish for, thinking, if only they realize what they lost, then I'll finally feel at peace. But here's where most get it wrong. They react. They take it as a sign. They break their silence. They welcome them back. And just like that, the power shifts again. Because the truth is, they're not reaching out because they want you. They're reaching out to see if they still have control over you. And if you give them that validation, they'll disappear just as easily as before. That's why those who truly win never look back. They understand one simple truth. The moment someone leaves, they lose the privilege of coming back on their terms. So when they finally notice, when they finally reach out, when they finally feel the weight of their own decision, you'll realize something even more powerful. You don't even care anymore. You're too focused, too disciplined, too in love with the person you've become to even entertain the idea of stepping backward. And that's when you've truly won. Because by the time they realize what they lost, you'll be too far ahead for it to even matter. 8. Unshaken, unstoppable. The final lesson in mastery. The game is over, but not in the way you once imagined. You used to believe winning meant getting them back, proving your worth, making them see what they lost. But now, you see the truth. Winning was never about them. It was about you. It was about reaching the point where their presence or absence no longer affects your peace. And that's when you realize you've already won. They wanted control. They wanted to be the center of your world, even after they walked away. But instead of chasing, instead of proving, instead of waiting, you did the unthinkable. You walked away, not out of anger, not as a tactic, but because you understood something they never did. Real power comes from indifference. And now the tables have turned. Now they are the ones thinking about you. They are the ones wondering if they made a mistake. But here's the irony. By the time they realize what they lost, you'll be too far ahead to care. This is what true mastery looks like. Emotional control, the ability to let go without hesitation, The understanding that no one, not them, not rejection, not even heartbreak, should ever have the power to shake your foundation. The strongest people in history weren't those who had everything go their way. They were the ones who took losses, betrayals, heartbreak, and turned them into fuel. They stood tall while others crumbled. They faced storms and walked through them untouched. And now, you are one of them. At one point, you thought you needed them to complete you. You thought they were the missing piece, the final part of your story. But now you see it. The only person you ever needed was yourself. The only validation you ever required was the one you give to yourself. The only love that truly matters is the one you cultivate within. They were never the destination. They were simply a lesson, a catalyst for your transformation. And now that you have become this version of yourself, you no longer need closure. You no longer seek answers. You no longer wait for someone to recognize your worth. Because the truth is, those who walk the path of true strength never wait. They build. They grow. They dominate their own reality without ever needing permission. And that is the kind of person they will never forget. Not the one who begged, not the one who lingered, but the one who vanished, only to reappear as something so powerful, so untouchable, that they no longer had access. That is your true victory. Not in making them return, but in reaching a point where it no longer matters if they do. Because someone who truly understands their worth knows this. Your greatest love story is not with them. It is with yourself. This is your new beginning. This is where you rise. This is where you leave behind the past and step into your highest potential. You are no longer just someone who lost a person. You are someone who found themselves. And that is the greatest victory of all. 9. The untouchable mind, the final stage of power. At first, you thought winning meant proving something to them, that if they could just see the person you truly were, if they could just recognize what they lost, then everything would fall into place. But now, you understand something much deeper. Winning was never about them. It was never about making them regret, never about getting them back, never about seeking validation. The real victory was always about you. They expected you to break. They expected you to linger in the shadows, watching, waiting, hoping. That was the story they wrote in their mind, a story where they were the central character and you were just another supporting role. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of breaking, you disappeared. Instead of chasing, you elevated. Instead of proving anything to them, you proved everything to yourself. And now, they are the ones feeling the shift. They check their phone expecting a message that never comes. They scroll through their feed, looking for signs that you're still watching. But there's nothing, just silence, just absence. And in that emptiness, something awakens inside them. Doubt, curiosity. Did I make a mistake? Why aren't they chasing? Why does it feel like I lost something I didn't even appreciate when I had it? This is human nature. People take for granted what is always within reach. They assume what is familiar will always remain. But when it vanishes, when it becomes distant, untouchable, it takes on a new weight, a new value. The absence of something once certain creates an unshakable discomfort. The mind hates uncertainty, and now they are the ones left questioning. But here's the part that changes everything. The moment they start to notice is the moment you no longer care. And that's what makes you untouchable, because by the time they realize what they lost, you will have already outgrown the person they once knew. They will be searching for a version of you that no longer exists. The truth is, people do not regret losing the ones who begged to stay. They regret losing the ones who vanished without a trace and never looked back, the ones who took their silence and turned it into power, the ones who turned their pain into transformation. You are no longer the person who needed them. You are no longer the person who waits for closure, for recognition, for validation, because a mind that cannot be controlled, a heart that cannot be broken, a soul that moves forward without hesitation, that is the ultimate form of power. This was never about them. It was always about you, and now you see it clearly. The past is nothing more than a lesson, and you are the one who writes the next chapter, and this time you are the only main character. 10. Beyond the past, the moment you no longer care. There was a time when their absence felt unbearable, when every thought revolved around what went wrong, what could have been, what they might be doing without you. You thought if they could just see your worth, if they could just realize what they lost, everything would come full circle. But then something changed. Not in them, but in you. You stopped waiting, you stopped hoping, and without even trying, you became the person you were always meant to be. Stronger, sharper, untouchable, not because you forced yourself to move on, but because you finally understood. You never needed to be chosen by them to be valuable. You were already enough. And now the power has shifted. They feel it. They notice the silence. They realize that the version of you they once knew, the one who waited, who cared too much, who sought closure, is gone. And suddenly, for the first time, they are the ones left with unanswered questions. Why aren't they reaching out? Why does it feel like I lost something I didn't even appreciate when I had it? The irony is, by the time they start to wonder, by the time they realize what they lost, it no longer matters, because you've outgrown them. You've evolved into someone they can't even recognize, someone who doesn't need them, doesn't think about them, doesn't look back. And that's the moment they truly lose you, not when they walked away, but when you stopped caring if they ever returned. This is the final stage of transformation. Not bitterness, not revenge, just freedom. The kind of freedom that comes when you no longer seek validation from anyone but yourself. Because when you reach this place, when you genuinely do not care anymore, you don't just win, you rise. 11. The vanishing point. When you become the one they can't reach. There is a moment in every journey when everything changes. Not slowly, not with effort, but all at once. Like a flame that burns out in an instant. Like a star that collapses into something unrecognizable. You don't notice it at first. One day you wake up, and something that once consumed your thoughts no longer holds weight. The questions fade. The longing disappears, and just like that, you are free. But that's the moment they feel it. It's as if some invisible thread connecting you has snapped. Suddenly, you're not there, not in their mind, not in their world, not in their control. They check their phone, expecting to find a trace of you. Nothing. They scroll through memories, trying to relive something that is no longer theirs. Emptiness. The presence they once ignored has become an absence they can't escape. It wasn't your silence that got their attention. It was your disappearance. You didn't wait. You didn't hope. You didn't leave breadcrumbs, hoping they'd follow. You walked away so completely that even the idea of reaching you now feels impossible. And that's when they feel it. The regret, the doubt, the realization that the door they thought was always open has closed forever. This is the moment where most people make a mistake. When they sense the shift, they return, expecting to find you where they left you. But you're no longer there. Not because you were playing a game, not because you wanted revenge, but because you've become something greater than the past that once held you. They reach for you, but their hands grasp at nothing. You have transcended. You have become untouchable, and that, more than anything else, is what they will never forget.